I did anyway. I feel a bit guilty that you try and forget about what happened a bit. You know, you try and get it out of your mind, and that sort of made me feel guilty. Like I'm trying to forget about it just so I can keep functioning as I'm expected to function. And I don't know. Death is just shit, eh? Like there's no formula to getting around it. It's just a fucking shit part of life.
Righto.
Hold on, we're not live, are we?
We're back in the studio for another episode of TradeMutt's 120 Grit, and we've got a very special guest today who asked to be introduced with heaps of energy, lots of laughs, and
a loving demeanour.
And a loving demeanour.
If you could think, that's perfect.
Madman Brad, welcome to the studio.
Thanks for having me, fellas. It's a good little studio. I like
It's
it.
a cracker, mate.
Yeah, it is. No one sees the technical difficulties behind the scenes, but anyway, here we are.
Ones that we just had, and hopefully this podcast is coming out loud and clear to all.
All the mics are working. I can hear you. We're good, I reckon.
Fantastic. How you going, mate?
Yeah, good. It's recording, eh? Just making sure.
It's on.
That was a bit of a shit show.
The red light is on.
We're good. Excellent.
What do you mean? It was a bit of a shit show.
Well, let's be honest.
We're 27 episodes deep.
And that brings the end of
27.
podcast.
Yeah, you're 27.
Yeah, well, I think I'm on 27 now.
Lovely.
Wow.
Oh, we're going toe to toe.
Hashtag twinning. Yeah, we are. Right. Well, I'm recording 4 this week, so it's on.
Jeez, look out.
Holy dooly.
Just had me water.
Yeah, go on. So, you are quite well known across the interwebs these days for your, hilarious Aussie larrikin style videos.
Oh, I didn't come here to blush and be.
You were blushing when you came in
I
here,
was.
mate.
Yeah, just because you turned the aircon off.
But
yeah, well, it's getting pretty good now, and
only just.
well, like I mean, yeah, I got to stop looking at other people's lawns. I suppose my grass is pretty good at the moment. Yeah.
Nice.
And that's not women either. That's talking about social media presence. Just to clear that up.
Down the camera. Yeah, because you've got 220-odd thousand people on Facebook.
Yep.
You got nearly 60,000 on Instagram. How many Snapchat people do you have?
Over a couple 100,000 as well. Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
It is. Yeah. Just a cool couple 100,000 here and there, whatever, just throw it around. No, it's pretty amazing. It's been a lot of work to get there.
But you're also a tradie across a couple trades, aren't you?
Yeah, so
multi-skilled.
Yeah, I like to think so. Jack of all trades,
master of none.
Yeah, so I Chippy was my first one back when I was a young pup, and
when did you start that? How old were you?
18, maybe late 17.
Straight out of school?
I think 18. I think I was an adult.
Yep.
And it seems like a lifetime ago now. And then plant operator, like machine operator, got all me tickets and.
What made you switch across from banging nails?
So I went from Chippy to, I think I went out to the rigs after Chippy. That was the next main big job, just because of money. Yeah, I seen the opportunity and took it and earned money while I could and spent it just as quick as I earn it. And and then found machines and thought, oh, I'll go and have a look at that. Sit down, aircon cabs. Oh, never get them though. I do miss swinging a hammer every now and then. But then I do it for half a day and I think, oh, God,
That's right.
not what it used to be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, run us through your apprenticeship. Whereabouts did you?
So I done my apprenticeship through Blue Dog.
Oh, Blue Dog training.
Yep.
Kerry, if you're listening, mate, got me through. Thank you.
Yeah, and that was really good. All the online modules and all that stuff, straight down the line, and I done it with Steve and Ryan, SPR Contractors.
Shout out, Stephen.
No, I don't think that business is still open, but it was quite a interesting time in my life, like being 18 and everything. It was pretty wild, but it's hard to think of all the details of me apprenticeship now. But no, it was a pretty good gig while I was doing it.
And you did it until you got signed off and then went to the rigs.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was soon after.
You're from Ipswich?
Yes.
Out there?
Not originally, but that's where I am at the moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
Chimera.
Chimera.
Just on the edge of Brisbane border. So it's like
no.
down a little bit more, and we could say Brizzy, because look, Ipswich, it's like
Up and coming.
it is.
It's up and coming.
I've heard that a lot.
Every year.
Springfield's going pretty wild, actually. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's we've been there a long time, so I can't shoot it down too much.
Right.
Over 10 years now.
Growing up out that way, you did a big kickboxing, didn't you?
I did Thai boxing, yeah,
Bit of Thai box?
for a long time. That was I started that when I was only a young pup, like 13 or 14.
Oh, really?
And done that till I was an adult.
Was that out of necessity? Living out like, or what?
Well,
Genuine question.
When I was doing that, I lived in Gimpy.
Oh, right.
And yeah, it was a bit rough. Me old boy got me into it. He said, if you're gonna carry on like a pork chop, at least try and learn a bit of discipline. And it sort of worked. Like I learned how to fight pretty well, and then it got me out of a lot of trouble, but it also got me into a bit. But it was really good, I spent a lot of my years doing it, and then figured out that I don't like running anymore. I don't want to do 6K runs in the morning before school, and enough of that.
Yeah, right.
Too much.
When did you move from Gimpy?
I actually moved down from Gimpy when I started my apprenticeship. Yep. And ever since we've been down here. But it's that, I'm trying to recall it all back then. So it all sort of went haywire. Life went a bit wild. And the apprenticeship was what was offered to me to as a come and do this. And it worked, I came down here and lived with the boss for a while and done the apprenticeship, then got myself set up and it all sort of leveled out from there.
So that's late teens, and you were just about running a bit of muck.
It was pretty wild times back then up at Gimpy. It was she was wild.
Wild as in just the crowd you're hanging with, or
yeah, for sure. Yeah, a lot of guilty by association sort of things, and just too many fights and drinking and not caring about anything, and I end up, that's where I end up sleeping on the street for a while there, and it was wild.
You mentioned that before we came in here, and you said it's something that you've sort of never really talked about.
Nah,
it's certainly something I wouldn't have known about you.
Yeah, it's a bit like that is a bit embarrassing, to say I was. I still sort of feel like I chose to do it. Like I burnt bridges and end up paying for it, by having to sleep in bus stops and stuff for a while, and it was all right, but it just wasn't nice.
How long was that for?
Longer than I would have liked. Nothing compared to a lot of people, but probably a couple of months of floating in and out of places and just crashing by myself. It was winter, a lot of the time, which was rough in Gimpy. It was chilly town.
How did you get yourself through that? Obviously you were low on support networks during that time. If you were on your own.
Well, I had at that age I didn't know of any. I didn't. I think even around the town there was services available, but at that age I had no idea. I just thought, oh well, you've made your bed, mate. You got to lay in it now, and to a literal sort of sense and you know what I mean? Yeah, but yeah, the boss that ended up putting me on sort of seen how erratic my life was getting, and he said, nah, stop, what are you doing? Just come and work with me and get your shit together, and it worked. Yeah.
I was actually shocked at the number of, and when we were at that thing pitching for the QUT, there was another organisation there that was helping out homeless people in Brisbane, and the actual number of people that sleep rough every night is insane, and it would shock you.
2,500 people.
Yep.
Within the
Just in
CBD and one suburb that joins it, as in a circular.
It's unbelievable. It's
2,500.
Heartbreaking to see kids in that situation too. Just with parents that have struck hard times, and they got no other choice. That's all they're left with. It's
how I just love to get an understanding for, us and people listening, like how you actually did get yourself through that period of time.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard question to answer because I feel like I was just sort of floating through it all, and I was literally living day to day. Like I was just trying to work out where to get food from the next day, and I'd go and float around to a couple of mates every now and then. I'd get lucky and stay there for a couple of nights, but I never really told them sort of how bad I got, how bad it got, and that I was just trying to touch and base to get somewhere to crash for the night, and and I just sort of floated along like that for a while, and luckily, the opportunity came up to do the apprenticeship, and that all became a thing of the past.
Yeah, wow, that must have been a crazy learning experience, and like
it was, yeah, definitely, yeah, it was, it sort of made me a lot more aware, and it's actually inspired me to help out the homeless helpers that I've done a couple of rides for, and you guys have given a couple of prizes for and stuff, and that's purely because when I'd done that sort of stuff, it's it's tough. I couldn't imagine trying to do it with kids. I was a young, fit bloke, and it was pretty hard. I couldn't imagine trying to support kids through something like that. It'd just break. It'd just break you. Oh, big time.
I think for a lot of people would find it hard to imagine even being able to get through that, but it's pretty cool that you can you can scrape the bottom, like that, and push back off.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you definitely learn a lot about yourself and other people, sort of thing. I suppose for me, that was definitely that was my rock bottom. For sure that was. Was, rock bottom for everything I'd known then. That was as bad as I could get. And but here we are, bounce out of it. Luckily, and I don't chalk it up to my own choices that I bounced out of it. I think it was just, I just got lucky. I suppose.
At any one time, you could anything could happen to take you in this direction or that direction.
Right.
When you're sleeping on the street, you have to deal with defending yourself every night, and all it takes is one wrong encounter to end up in prison or whatever.
For sure. I had a few too. I had quite a few.
So you reckon your boss, who became your boss, he sort of pulled you or gave you the opportunity to get away?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
you credit him with sort of, really pulling you out of that, do you reckon, or what?
Yeah. Well, it's no secret that there was a small group of us, sort of thing. I was the, the nomad, the drifter of the group, because, sort of out of necessity and my own dumb choices when I was younger and stuff. But he ended up putting me and George on. George was a mate that we trained together, and he said, he was actually sponsoring our training for a long time before I had anything to do with him.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then he said, "Oh, well, you and George, because we're all just in a, rough way. It was just a rough time." And he said, "Yeah, both of us." So he put us both on. We both done our apprenticeships together.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, definitely. If it wasn't for him, I don't know. Could end up struggling for years. I don't know.
It's amazing the crossroads, like little things that happen that lead you down the path,
big time.
And you look back and it's just literally turning left instead of right. It's crazy what you can put
Change
where you are
life.
Now to that whole butterfly effect. It's pretty.
Yeah, we got
a crazy to look back on.
Stuck in the 2011 floods. We got stuck in a house, one of George's houses at Gimpy, and I got stuck there with Crystal, I've been with her for 9 years now, and it was only because I decided to go there instead of somewhere else that night. It was raining. And then got locked in with her. And I thought, I got you now. Yeah.
Well, we're flooded in now.
Yeah. Here we are.
Literally. How good's that?
Yeah, 9 years later.
Yeah, but there's also, there would have been no power. You would have been candle lit. Probably.
Yeah, well, and then
it's probably the most romantic thing you've ever done.
Along comes Brad, the survivalist. Did you make that shelter, Brad? That old thing? Yeah, I just whipped that up earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Where'd you get all them fish?
So I wonder, yeah, I mean, I think about those times where where you went through that, what we've just talked about.
Yeah.
Were you always, surely you weren't that funny during those times, or?
Nah, it was.
No, you're right. Keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty hard pressed time. I was always sort of been the class clown, but you know, at that stage in my life, it was more trying to focus on what the hell I was going to do,
surviving,
where I was going to go. I used to go and I shouldn't say it, but yeah, I go into Macca's, and then when they call the orders, I'll be like, yeah, that was me, and then scoot out. It's like, oh.
Well, you got to do whatever you can to survive.
Yeah, it was.
Like,
it was pretty rough.
Far out, mate. Like, you watch, you see things like that Will Smith thing, like the what was that movie called?
Pursuit of Happiness.
Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh, yes, of course.
And he's got a son, and he's by himself, and you watch that, and he's like, holy shit. And
Yeah.
obviously, he turned his life around, but the things that people do go through is absolutely unbelievable.
A good thing to touch on about it all is, when I look back at it now, I feel the reason I sort of feel like it was my choice is because I think like I had options, I had avenues to go to, and you know, to end up in a better place, but I was too sort of embarrassed to, you know, tell people that that's how it was. So I'd rather, to save the embarrassment, I'd just keep doing what I'm doing, so I don't have to have that conversation with you know, mum or dad or whoever it may have been.
Is that something you've learnt from, and that you're more open now? Because that's such a pride thing.
Yeah. Pride is it's nothing now to me. It's just like I'll never hold anything in now to save pride, because I know that's not how it works. You know, after all the years we've spent growing up, it just doesn't work that way. The more you hold it in, it just becomes a toxin.
It's a tough one as well, because I was just trying to think then, put myself in that situation. If I was homeless tomorrow, would I be in the same, would I be in that sort of situation where you'd be too proud? And I reckon probably for a lot of it I would be.
Yeah.
I'd be too, you'd feel really, there's obviously people
true.
You can reach out to.
I suppose it's a good point, because like whenever you're having money issues and stuff, I don't tell people about that. No, true.
And it's like, it's when it's good to have perspective like afterwards, and you can see for what it was, but then still you'd find yourself in situations. And the same thing for us, like we harp on about reaching out for help when you actually need the help, and it's so important, and it is important, but when you're actually in it, it's a different kettle of fish.
But it's it's that mindset, like I was saying to you the other day in the car, and like I was saying to my wife the other night, like seems like a bit of a weird New Year's resolution thing, but it's sort of I'm working on me personally, not trying to have an opinion on something until I've got a full understanding of something.
Okay, right. Yeah,
because like everyone now is sort of like, you're either a fucking greenie or you're a fucking, neo-Nazi, or you know what I mean? Like you just put in all these different buckets. Whereas
went from 1 to 100 there.
No, but you know what I mean, though? So it's like the understanding of, you saying, if I had finance problems, I wouldn't talk up, and it's sort of like, well, we need to create an understanding so people can actually grow and learn, because if you're not, you know what I mean? So like if people, like for me right now, like I'm reading that Rich Dad Poor Dad book, and the whole reason I'm reading it is literally just to learn more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, if we can change our understanding of wanting to learn rather than bottle up and say, fuck, I should know how to do this shit. No one's got a fucking clue how to do anything.
Well, you blokes know now, like knowledge is a currency. You know, it's priceless to the things I've learned since starting this social media journey. I just am forever thankful for the things that I've talked to people about, and I feel like I've personally helped a lot of people, and it's just incredible. But to have people talk about their situations they're in then and there when they need the help it's a pretty big hurdle to get over, I think, judging from how I felt.
It's a massive hurdle, but I think conversations like we're having now and conversations we've been having, it's sort of trying to put that, on its head.
Yeah,
because,
for sure.
Why isn't it a current way of people wanting to know more and learn more rather than people just like, you should know that, I should know that, I'm not going to ask anyone that. It's sort of, why is that the norm?
Well, often it's a defense mechanism, I think. Like when people don't know everything about something, but they'll often be the most outspoken person about it.
No, I used to do that.
Do you know what I mean? It's quite a defense mechanism to kind of make yourself an assertive authority about what you're talking about, even though you might not have a clue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I can relate
And
to
if
that
you
100%.
Yeah,
especially
true.
when I first got signed off my apprenticeship, and like you've got, people that you're supposed to be showing how to do shit. I was like, oh fuck, I've got to know what I'm doing.
Hey, what's that? Nails not galvanised.
Yeah, mate. What are you doing there, mate? But the reason I did do that was literally due to the fact that I had no fucking idea what I was doing.
Yep.
And if I arced up and started barking shit, well, then it seemed like I did have authority and understanding. I had no fucking idea what I was doing.
It's
Don't
funny.
worry, we all knew.
Shut up, you clown.
We all knew. We're like, this bloke's serious.
I've experienced that from the underside too, with the boss shouting orders and you're looking at each other going, that's not right.
That doesn't make any sense.
So we can't do that. Like we're digging a house pad with drainage and stuff, and he's like, did he just tell me to dig through the electrics? Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't do that.
But that's
Who's going to tell him?
one of the greatest things that I've learnt, and we've learned on the podcast so far, through other episodes, was when we had Scott Hutchinson in here.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he was just, he stepped back from running Hutchies to someone else who was better to do it.
Yeah.
And he happily gave it all up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, why would I stay there and try and, because you see people, small businesses do it all the time.
Yeah,
They
for sure.
they hire people that aren't as good as them, so they look superior. It's just like, hey,
Yeah.
you're not, what are you?
His
what are you
quote
here
was
for?
Ronald Reagan. There's no limit to what a man can do if he doesn't care who gets the credit.
Dan Allen.
Scott Hutchinson.
Nailed it.
That was Scott Hutchinson. That was Dan Allen quoting Scott Hutchinson
Hutchinson.
quoting Ronald Reagan on the podcast.
But
and
that's-
it's true because he was like, why the fuck would I care when my name is on the sign? Like, this guy's better at being a general manager than what I am. I could just go around and shake hands.
And that's what we're
True.
doing here. With we've got a small team now, and it's like we're trying to employ people who are 10 times better than Dan and I to be able to help us.
Yeah, well, that's the only logical way to grow is to bring in people that know exactly what you haven't had the pleasure of learning yet.
People have just got to sort of step back and allow that to happen. I think
100% segment cut,
bang
bang.
Hold on,
snapper.
snapped it.
I want to go. Let's go to
Where are we going?
Start to dive into how you went from digging through electrical cables in footings to starting to make videos and be the guy that most people see.
Well, see, this is good because I remember.
Here we go.
I remember this transition. Like that, back in the those days I was talking about before, it was quite foggy, but this was only recent. So
Well, you always remember the good times pretty well, don't you?
Yeah, true. Yeah. So I was digging I'd been there for a couple of years. This particular company, and the company was in a bit of strife. So often I'd end up with days where I had no scope of work. I'd just cruise around in the posse and, tidy up and trim the blocks and stuff for no particular reason. And often I'd be the only one on the whole site. So, just looking after the site, and I think, oh, well, there's a good chance to... And I'd send some wild Snapchats to just a small group of mates. And eventually they said, man, you got to start saving these things, because they were... Back in the day, they were, I didn't have to worry about a big audience, so I could just
do it at
lib, let loose on there, and close are optional, whatever. And
bugger, I wish we were back in those days.
So I started saving them, and that's when I made the Madman Brad Facebook page to sort of stockpile them there, so we could look back and reminisce or whatever they wanted to do, I suppose.
Remember those days, boys.
And then a couple of those videos got a bit of traction, and the numbers on Facebook went higher than my Snapchat, which was never numbers were never a goal for me. Sorry, and Facebook went, so I used Facebook to boost the Snapchat, and then one after the other, and they both sort of climbed at steady rates, and and then I was at another job on the diggers still, and by this time I was starting to get a pretty big audience, so I was worried about being on a site and someone from that company going, hold on,
Isn't that prick?
He works for us, get rid of him. And it kind of ended up being that way a bit. I got a lot of the blokes there sort of caught wind of who I was and what I was doing on their site. You know, a good company and everything, but a company that doesn't stand for any hoo-ha, any carry-on. And at this time, Trade Tools had already contacted me and said, do you want to come down and make some videos for us, you know, maybe get involved with us? And I said, yeah, it's way different, but I'll have a look. And it was a good little overlap because soon one company went, nah. And the other company said, that's all right, come with us.
So what was the blowback there? Were they shitty that you were doing stuff on company time? Were they thinking that it was unsafe? Was it all of the above? Were you
yeah.
Those videos are quality.
Yeah, I think it's hard not to watch someone on site dicking around on a video and think that they're actually working. Because
productive.
Yeah, I'm always productive at work. I am. Don't laugh about that.
No, I'm not laughing about that. You get paid to not be productive now.
Yeah, Yeah, well, now I'm paid to try and squeeze the old creative juices, and it's a whole different life.
So was it? I mean, obviously the Garbage Guts video was
that was the one, wasn't it?
That was the first viral. Yeah,
and it got I've got here 2.3 million views on Facebook.
That's.
Oh no, mate! Have you checked it today?
Oh, sorry.
So it went to Lad Bible and a couple of different ones. It ended up amounting nearly 30 million.
I'll just
it was close, but
30 million.
Yeah, you put the decimal in the wrong place, and you used the wrong numbers
for some reason.
But that was definitely that was the biggest back then. I think purely because of the Lad Bible share, that was the biggest to date. But
30 million, that's more than the population of Australia. That's insane.
Crazy, eh?
That's insane.
A couple of
how many of the views are yours though? How many million are yours?
At least 1.6. Yeah, I just had it on repeat. Yeah.
Look at me go!
Yeah. Unlimited Wi-Fi.
I'm red hot.
Yeah, nice. 30 million. That's insane.
Crazy, eh?
Yeah.
My ugly mug out there that much.
So So let's go. Yeah, when that all came out, like, what sort of did anything change?
No, my head did a little bit for a short time. I thought,
got a bit gassy.
Oh yeah, dreams of grandeur. Here we go, Brad. It's all up from here. And I soon realised that social media doesn't, at the stage I'm at, doesn't really provide a lifestyle or anything, which is probably upsetting for a lot of. There is ways to manipulate it though. Like in a good way.
Yeah.
I'm going for a meeting tomorrow with a bloke from a company. I won't say the name yet, just in case it doesn't pan out. But I might be getting a free tinny, which is because I want to go out, take the kids out fishing and stuff. And
nice.
I noticed this one company follows me, and I thought, oh, here we go. I'll just talk to old mate, and he said, yeah, I've been following you, mate. I know who you are. And he said, come and have a meeting with me, and we'll throw some. We'll chat.
We'll talk business.
Yeah, we'll talk businessy business. So there is ways of, getting paid from social media.
Well, you got, like, the stage you were getting in, like, is past the YouTube days of making good money off videos, right? Like,
Facebook has now copied YouTube. So Facebook actually, you can monetize Facebook and creators can get money for their content there. But in order to do that, you have to advertise on your videos. They have to meet a certain criteria, like over 3 minutes long. That's why a lot of the videos you'll see now are 3 minutes and 1 or 2 seconds, because that to fit in with that criteria to monetize. Yeah, Facebook are trying to get an audience for longer videos like YouTube.
Yeah,
that's a bit of inside information.
Intel.
Right from a social media influencer.
Intel. And so, so you've made the jump kind of, you've had a crack at some stuff that you like to do, and then it's kind of...
Did you like digger driving? Sorry to chime in there, though. Like, did you... That's an assumption, so we just want to...
No, I was talking about the videos. Oh. I was talking about the videos doing what you like. Like, that is a bit of a fun sort of passion on the side. And then it's kind of turned into
a career at Trade Tools.
Yeah. But like, as we know, like, well, we started you know, with a couple of shirts, and it was all fun. And now it's a
Yep.
business.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like,
Businessy business.
yeah, and
Well-
it changes. You know what I mean? It changes
for
a
sure.
lot, and you
Yeah.
gotta deal with that. You gotta keep up with it. You gotta keep evolving. All that sort of
Improvise,
stuff.
adapt, overcome, as
Yeah.
a great man once said. Yeah. Yeah, well, I feel like aside from, you know, putting Trade Tools to the side, my own social media, I feel like if I focus on the right way to do it, I could probably turn it into a secondary income and try and hone the art a little bit. But at this stage, it seems like a lot of work. You know, I just trying to juggle everything and just put it in the too hard basket, and I'll do it later.
But in the meantime, you get to, obviously you've honed a little bit. You've honed your video editing skills.
Oh yeah.
Probably from
Yep.
garbage guts days to
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Barocca in a bottle type days.
Yeah, yeah. I've learned a lot of nifty editing tricks, and I feel like I've always had a bit of a knack for it. Like, you just got to make videos that don't have awkward pauses. You know, they're just got to be quick.
Yeah.
And it seems to hold engagement, I suppose.
Oh, well, there you go, kids. If you anyone out there
Well,
listening, Sue Ross, if you're interested
Sue
in
Ross,
making
go listen. Sue, tune in. What I wanted to ask you though, like you have, obviously you've got, you know, hundreds of thousands of people.
Don't
that
get the
follow
number
you.
wrong.
Sorry.
I wasn't offended before.
You know
just saying that.
you know, you are pretty open and honest at times on your, you know, socials about stuff that you've gone through. Is that something that you thought would start happening, or was it like, did you start wanting to use it to influence people so they could understand? You know,
not at the start, but I'm trying to think of what the first ever topic I talked about, you know, that it had affected me, and I brought up, you know, publicly on social media. Obviously there's a couple recently that have happened, and I do talk about them to try and in hope that, you know, other people going through any rough time, you know, might inspire them to just, you know, bring it up and talk to, you know, if I'm crying on me social media, then maybe it's all right for me to have a bit of a, you know, cry to whoever I need to as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you're probably the most relatable bloke out there on social media doing what you're doing, funny guy, but that people can just actually relate to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're the people's bloody.
are you thinking about running for office?
Yeah.
No, because the thing is that you see it so often is that disconnect between an Instagram lifestyle or Facebook lifestyle
Big time.
comparatively to real life.
Yeah. And at some point there has to be, like at some level there has to be a bit of a disconnect, but I try and, I always try and stay as genuine as possible, you know, and what's going on in my life is what I'll post about at that time, you know.
Have you noticed something? Sorry to cut you off. You were just about to
I was
ask a
just took a
question. Yeah,
took a big breath.
I jumped in just before you finished your breath. No, I was going to say, you know, how do you manage just the use of your phone, you know, in all environments? Like,
Good question.
With your family, obviously at work you're paid to use it now.
Yeah.
But like with family, with friends, like, do you find yourself that you're on your phone shitload more than everyone else around you, and you're disconnected?
More than I'd like to be. Yeah, around the mates, it's not too bad, because a lot of the time, if I got the phone around the mates, it's usually, you know, getting a couple of snaps or whatever. But going home after a work, you know, a day's work, I realise I've still got a big list of stuff that, you know, needs to be ticked off, and a lot of the time I'll just leave it, because I'll sit there.
What's the list? Sorry, what's the
replying and communication with people on socials, you know, and I'll be thinking about on the way home, driving home, and, you know, make a mental list of how many things I've got to try and you know, tick off, and then I get home and the kids are being crazy and the missus is stressed, so it's like, and I'll sit there and try and knock off a couple, and then, you know, I'll get the daggers like, what are you doing? Yeah, it's like, I'm still working, I'm working, but it's hard to figure out that balance. Like I still am by no means good at it.
Yeah.
Still struggling with trying to a lot time for all the social media.
Well, also the big thing is that you're always contactable, right?
Yeah,
You
always.
can't just sort of turn it off.
No.
And
I've got all the notifications turned off purely because
it's too much.
Yeah, and the missus here on the phone going bleep bleep, and
if people don't have the notifications turned off yet, do it.
Yeah, it's so good.
It'll change your goddamn life.
But you like being a bloke for the people. You would like. I'd imagine you'd like to take the time to be able to respond to everyone. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like a completely impossible task. Like 6,000 notifications at any one time for Snapchat. I just can't do it, I can't do it.
6,000?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Crazy,
so what do you do? Like,
I just have to.
Do you just have to?
I just have to let them sit. Yeah, I'd need a full-time person, for a couple of weeks to try and get through it, and I'll be worried about them saying the wrong thing. Like, it's hard to communicate and get a lot of people asking for for help in their particular situation, which is probably one of the hardest things of the whole social media for me.
Give us an example. Have you got like what do people reach out for?
So the majority of the time it's people asking for me to share their GoFundMe pages and stuff for a sick family member or even worse, their sick kids and stuff, and kids are one that obviously strike home with me and everyone, but it's hard to try and work out how to politely say I can't just share them all. I wish I could help everyone, but it just doesn't work like that. I just can't share them all.
If your content was only sharing GoFundMe pages for
that's
people
right.
with sick families, well then there wouldn't be any of the other stuff and no one would be tuning in anyway.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
right.
Like
to get zero engagement.
You lose them pretty quickly.
I suppose that's one side of it that no one would really ever.
Nah, well, it's given me some sort of anxiety thing for social media messages. I steer away from opening new messages because I'm afraid of seeing more of that. And once I see that, I invest into the conversation and try and, tell them exactly why I can't. And it's hard work, reading these terrible stories that is their whole life, their whole life is around this one thing. And it seems like, an easy thing for me to just share it, but it's not that simple, and it's hard to say no.
But I guess where your strength lies and the purpose, well, one of the main purpose that you're serving in these situations is the fact that your humour would be bringing, some joy.
Yeah,
to the people
I've
who
heard
are
that a
reaching
lot
out
too,
to
and that always hits home. That's always really nice to hear.
Yeah, like you can't do everything, and I think if you if you go down the trap, I mean, it's hard when you give a shit, right? But if you go down that rabbit hole of trying to be everything to everyone, you're just gonna fizzle out.
Yeah, well, it's a sort of heavy weight to carry, like trying to.
And it's probably not fair, to be honest, too. As in, in a fact that it's to put. I know it's asking for help. But it's different in the fact that it's putting a fair burden on you if you say no to feel pretty awful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I understand that completely, but at the same time, if I always put myself in their shoes,
you'd be doing everything.
If that was me, I would have no worries sending, asking for help, and it's like, so shit, what do I do? What do you do? I just don't open stuff now every now and then, and I get worried about what I'm going to read. And
but do you cop any backlash ever?
Not particularly. Like I've had a couple of videos that people watched wrong, thought I was actually doing something legitimately, that I was taking the piss, and but nothing bad. Like I've never had anyone bloody threaten me or anything or carry on. Like I see a lot of it on social media, people really getting carried away in the comments, but no, I'm pretty lucky that I haven't dealt with too much of that.
Do you read all the comments?
On my stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, most of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
until they go like real crazy. But yeah, most of them I scroll through and check them all out, and because I'm trying to also, I'd like to filter out dickheads, that are, if they're getting an argument with one another, you got to keep an eye on some of that shit, because
like a publican. You just got to
yeah
get in there and pull them apart.
People can get pretty wild pretty quick online, as we all know.
Mate, want to talk about, there's been some heavy stuff go on, in your personal life in the last 12 months.
Yep.
When you helped us out with that.
You've got a voice
video last year that we did, and there was a tragedy that happened a day or 2 days.
Yeah,
couple
of days before that. So my mate Marty, he killed himself, hung himself. He was a bloody good bloke. I worked with him, building. Worked with him for a long time, and he 2 kids, a daughter and a son, and just couldn't do it anymore, and went and hung himself, and fucking hell, it's just one of those things. Like anyone that's experienced suicide always say the same thing. Like, I just had no idea that was coming, and it was the same with Marty. Like, he was a chipper Scottish bloke, funny as, and then. Phew, that's it. Just all over, because he obviously had his own big story that no one knew about, and it just got the best of him. Yeah.
And that was when Ed was saying before that you talk about some pretty real stuff on your socials. That was the first example for me that came to mind.
Yeah.
The second was, I think, coming into Christmas last year when you were talking about the children's hospice, and that got me jerking. But that was there's not too many people talking like that on social media. And then, like, how do you juggle? I mean, then 2 days later, you come and singing and dancing with us for a cause that is ultimately what we're trying to do here is reduce the rate of suicide and try to change the culture. But
I feel like when I do talk about these things that have affected me greatly, when I post about it, I feel like it sort of, helps me a little bit,
cathartic. Helps
yeah,
you.
like maybe I'm trying to push that sadness out and away, whatever it is, but it seems to make me feel a little bit better about it, to a certain degree, I suppose.
But that's like exactly to the point of what we're talking about with conversations about mental health or opening up about your struggles. Like, literally just that process alone really does kind of help.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, to get it off your chest, because I feel like when you start talking about things that are hurting you, you learn things about how you're feeling when you're saying it, because you don't really, you can think about it along, as much as you want, and sometimes you'll figure some stuff out, but a lot of the time, until you start speaking about it and someone else, reverberating with you don't really understand the depths of it, once you start saying
once you hear it, because it sort of forms itself. I know exactly what you're saying.
Was that your first experience with suicide?
No, not me first. No, we had a couple of when I was younger, one of my mates in school, and like we've all had bits and pieces of it. And but Marty was particularly close, and
How have you managed through that on the other side, mate? Because that's like it's a heavy burden to wear for the people left behind. Like, I remember when Dan lost his mate. It was fucking, you're just a shell of a person, just due to the fact there's no answers and there's no, like, if this
trying to come to terms with the fact that there'll never be an answer. That's one of the hardest things. Like, no matter how long you sit there pondering what and why and how bloody. You just don't get. You'll never have any answers for them big questions, which is hard to come to grips with. For me, it was. I just wanted to, and you always. I do. Like, I done that sort of self blame a little bit. Like, I should have been more proactive with communication, and I'm sure everyone affected by suicide does that same thing. But yeah, I'm not sure how it still hurts when I think about it, and it always will. But it seems to, I'm sort of lucky because I've talked to a lot of people about a lot of mental health stuff, and it's armed me a little bit. I feel with I'm more aware of the stages of grief, I suppose, to be cliched, that I'm going through. You know, when you start getting angry at people around you, and then all of a sudden I'll think, this is just a part of it. Just chill out, and the waves will come crashing in slower and slower, and eventually you just learn to deal with it over time. Because the waves don't get easier, I don't think. They just spread out further apart.
For sure. I was listening to I listened to a bit of Joe Rogan. I don't know if you like any Joe Rogan.
I do like him. I haven't.
But he talked about like suicide particularly, and about how, I mean, he's a big energy kind of guy, which I get when he explains it like this. But when someone takes their life by suicide, the pain, like the severe pain that they're feeling internally that they think they can't share with anyone else, well, by the act of taking your life, you pass that negative energy onto everyone around you. They absorb it. So your mates get a little bit of it, your immediate family, your kids get the brunt of it. Yeah. And it just stays with them forever. Do you know what I mean? So it's like that pain that you do feel, it doesn't go away when you when you take your life. You just pass it on to other people around you, and then they're left with the burden of living with that.
Yeah,
which is pretty heavy. Like
big time. Yeah, of course. Like even for people's mates, for everyone, especially the family, like far out. That's something that you'll never you just can't ever forget. It'll always be with you. It's baggage forever.
How do you do it then? If you now that you work with Trade Tools, you're squeezing the creative juices. Yeah. How do you juggle just life in general and all the different things we go through, or you go through, and then also having to come and switch on and be Madman Brad?
Well, it was pretty. It was pretty tricky earlier this year when me cousin died earlier this year. He was just, a young bloke. He's only, early 20s, Riley. He was a good young bloke, really kind, really nice, and just, in his sleep, boom, passed away. And I don't really want to talk about that too much, but to go from that and and the grief that kicked up, which it was heavy grief. Anyway, to go and try and be normal on videos and be energetic and stuff was hard. Like I was just faking it for a bit, and same sort of thing. The waves just sort of slow down, and it feels a bit like you get a bit guilty. I did anyway. I feel a bit guilty that you try and forget about what happened a bit. You try and get it out of your mind, and that sort of made me feel guilty. Like I'm trying to forget about it just so I can keep functioning as I'm expected to function. And I don't know. Death is just shit, eh? Like there's no formula to getting around it. It's just a fucking shit part of life.
It is. It's a fucking hard one. And like I've lost, a close mate, and I always think I'll just see him again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me too.
Like I've always got that in the back of my head.
I went to
one day I'll see him, but yeah.
I went to one of my other mates, like older fella, Benny. He was a Scottish fella as well, and I was looking around his funeral and looking for Marty, because they were both Scots. And then I was like sitting there and realised, oh fuck, Marty dead. Like it was crazy. It was a big weird moment that, like, I was looking around thinking, oh, no, he'll be here. And then, I remembered, oh, fuck. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it's a fucking hard, shitty... but the worst thing is no one fucking has a clue what to do around it.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, no one has any idea how to fucking grieve, what that's supposed to be like. No one knows what the fuck...
Yeah, well, it's different, for every... I've experienced different types of grieving too, you know, from one death to another, manifests in different ways, you know. I suppose depending on where you're at in your life, how you feel in that particular, you know, week or month or whatever, it can, definitely manifest in different ways. It's just a matter of trying to see it and relax and not let it get a hold of you.
Take control, yeah. Because like the thing, sorry to cut you off again, but like the thing for mine, like you see it a lot. There's two options when big shit like that happens in your life. Yeah. It's either you can fucking use that as a catalyst for change and use that as an opportunity to learn from. Yeah, which is fucking hard, but it's, you know, you can look at that and say, right, that situation was completely and utterly fucked. Yeah, there's nothing I can do to change it. Yeah, but from here on out, I'm going to make positive changes to ensure that, you know, I'm making the most of my opportunities while I'm here. Because like the whole Kobe Bryant thing, it's fucking over in, you know, instantly. You know. Yeah. Yeah. And then you see that it's just people just fucking reside back to what they were doing and just fucking hate on the world for what's gone on and use that as an excuse to fucking be bitter and upset. And it's hard. And it's hard to choose. And it's hard to choose your road.
And I think a big part of the grief is being, you know, bitter. And no matter how you do it, a certain part of that grief is definitely going to be hate and bitterness and the bad emotions, you know. But it's, I suppose, once that grief settles a little, don't
let me think this is an instantaneous thing. I just mean as a progress work through.
Yep. Well, you need to get past the numb phase.
That phase fucking.
And then there's no rhyme or reason or time limit for that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's the hardest part, because it's like, well, what the fuck do we do now? Like, what?
Yeah, there's no script.
What do you like?
It's not like you go to the doctor and say, yep, this will be your feeling for 2 weeks, and then the week after that, it's just like, on, you know.
Yeah, and so that there's just
because that numbness, isn't that the worst fucking feling ever,
like, how am I supposed to go on with my life now? Yep. Because even though it's not about you, it's just like, well, I sort of used through grief, I sort of used a bit of thinking in perspective with, you know, other bloody people around me, what they've been through, which if you put the things next to one another, you know, that they've gone through a lot harder. And then I use that and think, man, if they can bounce back from what they went through, you know, with it doesn't matter what with, but if they can get through that, then anyone can get through anything. Because some people have experienced grief, like, you know, hopefully, you know, no people should ever have to. It's a good attitude, but like, and it's good to try to do that, but still, it's not that easy, because like you can only really relate to what has gone on in your life, and like the best example is like Dave Chappelle's special, where he's like, you know, when you're hungry and there's nothing to eat, and someone's like, oh, you know, there's starving kids in Africa. He's like, it doesn't fucking matter. I'm still hungry. Like, do you know what I mean? So like,
everyone's perception is completely different. It's like. Yeah, that's the hard thing, but I suppose the empathetic side of being able to show that for other people, I suppose, rather than I think that's a massive part of it, and being able to, and I suppose that's what you do a lot too, you know, through your social media is talk about, you know, your struggles, and so people can relate and get through it themselves.
Another hurdle too with grief, for example, is people, you know, when you go through that stage where you switch off, you don't want people offering help. You don't want to. You just fucking leave me alone.
I know you're there.
And you choose, like I did. You know, I chose to just fucking make me world a whole lot smaller and just buckle down and do it myself. And I don't know, like I wish I don't know. I just don't know.
Well, that's the thing, but you've now because
get angry, hey?
You've just had to figure it out yourself. Like you've got to figure it out yourself. Like there's no, it can almost just be too much. All the offers of support and this that, and the other. I mean, you know who's there for you, but like it's really.
I listened in on a conversation that my little brother had because it was particularly hard for my little brother. He was, we're all at ground zero, but Corey was my little brother was, he was at ground zero when it all happened, and he's only a young bloke too, and I was worried about him because extremely traumatic, and I listened to it that same day. My mum works in the healthcare system. She works with mental illness and stuff, so she's got some contacts, and Corey called this
psychologist.
Yeah. And she was walking him through the grief he was feeling. This was on the day that it happened. We went back to mum and dad's, and we're all in that numb stage. And she was saying, all this stuff you're feeling. And as she's saying it to him, I was thinking the same thing. Like, oh yeah. She said it's all completely normal. Like all this confusion, this what you're thinking, you feel guilty, all this stuff, and these are all emotions. Obviously, we're all having. And she was saying it is all completely normal. Don't feel like it isn't normal. Everything, is completely normal for what's going on. And I was sitting there listening, going, good, because I didn't know either.
Well, you've sort of really got to, again, perspective. Like having been through or having dealt with grief in a couple of different ways.
Yeah,
you kind of really. It's not until you're out of it that you've really sort of got to. You get that perspective, and you have to. Really soak up that feeling.
Yes.
You really have to absorb
reflect on it, and try and dissect it a bit.
Yeah, you need to let yourself feel that way and know that it's okay, because that gives you perspective to know when you're happy. That allows you to know when times are good again, because you remember what it was like to feel that way. And so any chance you get to feel good and normal again, you really sort of relish.
Yeah, for sure.
And then this is probably a cycle that happens in
throughout your life
till the day you
like,
die.
Yeah, it's like my grandfather now is going through all that sort of shit. Like he's 80, and he was driving down to my wedding last year, and he's like, "Oh, I'll call into Tamworth and catch up with some mates." Rang ahead, there was one left. He rang up. One of the people rang up. Wife answered and said, "Oh no, we buried him 2 weeks ago." He's just like, "Fuck," you know what I mean? Like everyone around you is just it's just like that life and the journey, and you're here now. Like everyone's here now, and you just don't have a grasp of the fuck is going to go on in the future. No. You know what I mean? Just like,
but that's
and it's hard. Like you sort of come to terms with mortality a little bit more, every time something like that happens, and I don't like it. I hate thinking about it because I just fucking freak out about my kids. If something goes wrong with me, and they got mum, she's awesome, but I just want to be here forever. I want to be able to look after them forever, and it's fucking scary, this world.
Mate, it is. Yeah, it 100% is. I mean, I just want to touch on when this your cousin passed away.
Yep.
Like, who were you confiding into to talk this stuff out, or were you just doing this within yourself?
No, I couldn't do it all by myself, this one. I was talking to me mum a fair bit. I was talking to his dad, me uncle, Riley's dad, Uncle Greg. It was, it still is. Every day is still fucking tough for him.
Well, this was only December last year, wasn't it?
No, it was this year.
Oh, was
it? Oh, sorry, no. Yeah, last year.
Late,
it was late.
End of 2019?
I think it was October. Yeah, October, maybe November. I should know, but but yeah, she's still, fresh wounds, and I've had a couple of conversations with Uncle Greg where I was asking Crystal, how the fuck do I answer this? Like, and he's, saying, fuck, I miss my boy, Brad. And it's like, of course you do, man. Like, I don't know, man. But I talk to me family a lot, and particularly me little brother, seeing him get through it nice and strong, and I was really worried that, he'd go downhill, and he didn't. He knew he had to just stay focused and be good, because otherwise you just get swallowed by the grief. And seeing him, be good was power for me, I suppose. And yeah,
that's that question from a parent, or that statement from a parent about, because we had it here with Brad, that Kiwi Brad, and like, it's just when you look at a parent in the eye and they've lost their kid, there's nothing that will ever make it better, nothing that you can say, and it's just fucked. Like, it's plain and simple.
The thing that from your perspective, Brad, is that you've gone through grief multiple fucking times. And you don't have an answer for it.
You don't get any better.
That's what I mean. So like anyone that out there listening that's going through shit, it's not like, you're going to be feeling shit house, but there's no one out there that's going to be doing any better from it. You know what I mean? As in, no one knows.
Uncle, I should say, me uncle Greg, right, Riley's dad. He was actually he was a rock for most of the family through it all. Right, I think that was how he kept himself in one piece. He's kept his mind on the job. Got the funeral and everything organised, done a kick-ass eulogy. I still don't know how he managed, but he's always been a funny bloke, and he kept his shit together, and that actually helped a lot of us through it. It's one of them things. I suppose every time it's different. You just don't know. You can't pick it. Just try not to let the waves knock you over, just try and keep your head above the water in them hard waves, and you seem to keep floating,
Yeah, wow.
She's bloody.
It's a heavy chat.
And then, but seriously just takes me back to, like, how do you then go? And like you said, you kind of pretend it didn't happen, or you sort of just try to block it out, because you got to go back to work.
Yeah.
Life doesn't stop.
I was actually thinking, for a while after Riley passed away, I was thinking, I wish I was still in the fucking diggers, because it wouldn't matter.
You just hide yourself away and
do
your 8 to 10 hours and fuck off home.
I don't want to, I was dreading getting back on the camera, and I sort of felt like a piece of shit, smiling and laughing, and like it all didn't happen, but it's just all I had, I don't know. Couldn't just be mopey. I could not make videos.
Well, maybe it's a weird way of, turning your situation around, in the fact that, well, people do talk about, if you just put on a smile, it will eventually make you feel better.
Yep. Yeah, it's
like, as in, which is a hard, but it actually is, I'm pretty sure it's scientifically proven. I've stuffed up the 23 million thing before, so fucking don't quote me.
2.3.
Check on that, Roger.
But, I mean, maybe it was actually a good thing in the long run, because it gave you a boost.
I don't think it was negative. Yeah, for sure. I reckon it would have helped. But
it's not easy.
I just didn't want to. I was misery loves company, and if you support it, it'll just eat you up.
Wow. Yeah, and I guess what number did we get to? Followers wise, 500,000. Well, they wouldn't have.
No, that
clue.
was 30 million views.
They wouldn't have a clue that you're going through that, would they?
No, I haven't done any posts or anything about Riley yet, because it was just, I don't know. I just don't know how yet.
Well, you're talking about it now, mate. It's like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Like, it is, that's raw. That's fresh. So, I mean, kudos for even just having the ability to get the words out now, mate. So,
mate, we really appreciate it. Yeah.
That's all right.
It's, wow.
I had heaps more stuff to talk about. We got deep there, mate, didn't we?
Yeah,
that's really good shit.
Yeah, we were deep. We were deep. Fuck, I don't know. I don't know where to go from here.
Well, it's an important thing.
Let's wrap it up. I need a beer, right?
Yeah, for sure. What's on the horizon for Madman Brad?
So at this stage, I'm just
apart from swindling tinnies, as in the boats.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just going to keep plodding along with Trade Tools. They've been great. They've been good to me, and the big lifestyle change going from trade to office was a tricky one at the start, but happy, comfortable where I am now, and as long as I keep producing, and doing what I should be doing, it should all go well. Like that, their average employee time is something like 9 years. an average. And when they told me that, I was like, oh, that can't be real. Checked it out. Oh, then right. Yeah, so, that's a good company. So
Yeah, no, they're
great Trade Tools.
They're awesome. They've been huge supporters of us. We can't speak highly enough of Trade Tools. So it's been bloody, go and get it out there.
Ah, look at that.
Trade Tools.
Go on,
there you go.
Do
camera two.
Do their tagline. Say it.
What do you mean?
Oh, you don't know their tagline. You're pathetic.
I'm off the tools.
No, I'm not sure if they do have a tagline, to be honest.
We actually changed it recently.
What is it?
No, so it was, there's been a few things.
Oh, shit.
No, the last one that was on the Trade Tools and was about paying. No, I can't remember now. The new one is something else that I can't remember right now.
Aren't you the marketing dude?
No. I'm the,
What we'll do, we'll voice over that part with
Yeah.
And the creative juices are they happening for you? You must go through phases, right?
Yes, it does. Yeah, definitely up and down, and some weeks I'll be like, shit, what am I gonna do here? And it sort of gets away on you, but you start panicking. I've fucking lost it. I've lost my touch.
I'm not as funny as I used to be.
I've squeezed all the creative juices out, and it's empty. I've emptied the creative sack.
So you go and have a Barocca to give yourself a bit of a boost.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, then inspiration just strikes in the strangest places.
Yeah, right. But that's I think there's a good lesson there. It doesn't come all the time, does it?
Nah, it doesn't.
When the times are good, the juices flow.
Yeah, if I'm doing a new, we often do new product videos, and I'll be sitting there thinking, right, let's make a planer interesting. Right? I'll be sitting there in the office, twiddling my thumbs, going, what the fuck am I going to do here? So I'll go for a walk, and I'll just walk around and zone out. And then eventually I'll go, oh, right, I'll do that. And then, once I start filming, it starts just happening itself a bit.
So how does it work for you? Because Trade Tools will be like, righto, we got a special on Milwaukee.
Sort of, it's pretty relaxed. So I'll communicate with our reps and suppliers and I'll say to them, if we got new stuff coming out, just let me know, get it in my hot little hands, and then I'll sort it out from there. And
I'll sell it.
Yeah, you got it. They want it. I'll sell it. Even if they don't want it, they'll buy it, mate.
Do you ever get, oh, Brad, we need this done, and we need it done pretty quick?
Yes, I've had that a couple of times, and then
you're in a bad mood. And you're like, fuck you, I'm not.
I've had that exact thing a couple of times.
I'm not feeling funny today. Piss off.
Yeah. And I'm gonna sit in front of the camera like, and thinking, oh fuck, no, not feeling this. This is gonna be a shit video I'm recording.
Yeah.
That's the magic of editing, I suppose.
Nice.
It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it can fucking catch you off guard, and you're like, just wing it, just pull through.
Well, Brad, thanks for your time, mate. Shit, that was that was courageous of you to speak about that stuff. I think that's an insight that not many people would have. Of you, and I'm just so humbled that you allowed Dan and I to share that story and put it out to our audience. And I know, I got a lot out of it. I'm sure Dan got a lot out of it.
Oh, mate, heaps.
You probably got a bit out of listening to your own story again.
And definitely.
Hopefully everyone out there can take something away from it. So, mate, thanks so much.
No worries, mate.
Bloody appreciate it, mate. It's been a good one.
Yeah, that's been good. Yeah, it was. I didn't even know if I was going to talk about, Riley in particular, but it's sort of, I might do a video about him for my own socials soon, and trying to inspire people with his kindness, how good he was, and might be a bit easier now than I thought it was going to be. I don't know.
Good on you, mate. You've got a massive heart, and I don't think enough people know about it. So we'll certainly get it out there. Let them know.
Fellas.
Let them know how legit you are.
Yeah, too legit to quit.
Good on you, Bradley. Thanks, mate.
Thanks,
Cheers,
mate.
fellas.